I made this image out of nothing, and I made a photo of my screen with my phone, and then I photoshopped it some more until it looked like this. Here we go. It's there. So I just have this, and I'm interested in it. I'm going to select all and copy. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little further by putting this behind matte as a background. So because this is one layer, and these are all now real burned in pixels because we flattened them, we don't have to worry about what layer we're selecting and how this is going to work. So I'm going to select the green pixels by selecting the color range of this image. And by doing so, what I can do is I can place something in the background behind him. And so now we can do this a lot of different ways. You can use the lasso tool and select along here. But because this is such an easy to spot color, it makes it really easy. And that's why photography is often done against green screen, especially in cinematography, so they can replace the background really readily and easily. So let's figure out how to do that. We want to select it. I'm going to hit F a couple times, so we're back here, and I can go select color range. Excellent. Now I can choose what to select. It selected the green already, but I can choose what part of the green. I can also select multiple parts of the green at once. So if this was a white background or a black background or whatever you were dealing with in your image, you could do this by, say, selecting an area you want and then holding down the Shift key and selecting areas that aren't yet included. And you can see the fuzziness can be changed here. You can make it a more lenient, sort of like let everything in sort of fuzziness, or you can really tighten things down so it's just getting certain values or color hues. So I'm going to continue to click Shift and click around here until I make this look really tight. I don't see any other pixels that are not included here, so I'm satisfied. I can zoom in here so I can see a more detailed view of what the selection is. So if you do that, you can see where the fuzziness setting here can be applied in a smart way where you're not hurting yourself later. And so I'm satisfied with this enough. And so I'm going to say OK, and what that's going to do is it's going to select the green. Now see it's selecting the green. If you want to do something special, what you could do is you could take this background layer, and if I wanted to say apply a layer mask, I could just do that by clicking the layer mask button. But see what it did? See what it did here? It cut out matte instead of cutting out the background, because we'd selected the background color, the green. So now the truth is you could just click Command I or invert as you clicked on the layer mask, and it'll do the same thing we're about to do anyway. But I'm going to go back and I'll press undo and just tell you that one thing that you can do is when you're selecting the green, you can just select the inverse. So select inverse, and it'll select matte instead of the background. And then when you hit layer mask, then it'll truly mask him out, or mask the background out and leave him where he is. And now that I've done that, what I can do is, remember I copied that other image, this nice one over here. I can just paste it. And I'm pasting it in a different color space. It's giving me a warning. But I can choose to put that behind matte, and then I can choose to scale it up. I can click on the Move tool, and I can click Option to scale it up from the center. I can rotate it around the axis here. What do I like here? Do you want to should we flip it? I'm not really sure. Let's just do it. Looks like a sky maybe. All right. So I'm just going to continue to drag this out until it fits the background. I'll press Enter because I'm done. And now I've got a really nice image here that has a different background than matte. Now. Really? I know. Well, that happens, you know, because light is light, and the light was actually bouncing off of his head that was coming from behind him. And you can counteract that when you're careful by using special lighting. But I was just taking a picture of my brother holding a sandwich. Criminy. Don't get on my case, all right? So, but we can do some funny business to try to de-emphasize that green. One thing we could do is we can affect the mask. So we can come in here and understand that black is hiding. We could paint with black using a brush like this one, and you know that we'll be taking away. I'm going to change the opacity to 100%, taking away from the area that's being masked, or that's that's there. So I can do that with a soft brush. I can also, though, recognize that I don't really care that much about you know, softening the head. I don't want to do that. I actually just want to take some of the color away. So one thing that you can do is you can use the desaturate brush if you want to be real lazy about it. That's here. It's the dodge tool and the burn tool. It's the same thing. You hold down and you get the sponge brush right there. There we go. Okay, so I can use that to desaturate, and I can change the flow of this to 100% or whatever I want. And if I paint this on matte here, you see where it's let's actually click on where he is there, and it desaturates the image area or not the mask. So we can use this, especially because my brother has monochromatic hair. You notice how I was kind about the way I said that? He's got monochromatic hair, so we can not have to worry about the color that might be draining from it if we were to use some other sort of tool. But when I'm satisfied with this, just by painting to desaturate his edge, it's not affecting the background. That's on a different layer, right? And if we were clicked on the mask, it would affect it differently. See how it's affecting the masked image differently? It's showing behind it. That's not right. We have to click on the image area of the layer. And I know that happens sometimes, but you got to click either the mask, see the white box around it, or the image area. You got to click the image area when you're doing this. All right, so we do this and we get rid of some of the grossness of the green that's kind of by his face here. And I know there are many more talented retouchers who could do a way better job of doing what I'm doing. But I'm doing this in a demo in a class where I don't think that you want to see me do this for 45 minutes. So let's pretend we're very satisfied with this, and what we can do now is we can say we're done, and we can say I'm gonna hold this as a state. I'm gonna file save as and say this is another version, so that I can come back to this state if I mess up in the future. But now what I want to do is I just want to play with, now that I'm satisfied, the way that these two layers interact, and then maybe I might toss on some filters. So if this is my version A, what I'm really going to do is if this is version A, I'm going to say save copy, and I'm going to save a JPEG of this image to turn in. That's my first one, so you can save it as a JPEG. But I don't even know if I'm satisfied yet. I might go further even before I save. This is the background layer, and I want to affect it so that it's a little more nice in relation to the bro. So I can apply a adjustment layer right here by clicking on the little circle thingy, and I can apply I can do curves. I can do whatever I want. I love curves. I like the curves. Sometimes when you're using the curves, you got to get the palette to show all the way. But the background here is the only thing that's represented in this histogram. And you see that I can pull the whites down, I can pull the blacks up, and normally you don't want to touch the white and black points. You want to tweak the things that are in the middle when you're adjusting the curve. So I'm going to do this until I lower the contrast a little bit and make it feel like he's against something that's a little darker. Is that the right thing? Maybe it's the right thing. May I decide later that it's the right thing to put him against a lighter background because I like him when he's a little bit darker. It depends on the use of your image. But do what you feel is right for what you're making, and I'm doing what I think is right for what I'm making. It's fine. All right, now I can go further with this. I can apply effects to layer 1. I can also apply more effects to the layer of my bro, only my bro, by doing something like, I don't know, I'll do something dumb like a hue saturation adjustment. And I know that if I tweak this, it's going to tweak everything, including the background, if I do this. So I also know, though, that I can press this little button right here, and it shows me that it's going to only affect the layer right below it. So I click that, and then I can click this slider and move him around and make him purple, because that's what I think is right. That's what I think we need is a purple matte. You know, against the green screen, I think it looks great. Not really. Okay, don't worry, it's not destructive. I can go back and undo it later. But he does really look terrific this way. So let's pretend that's a version I really like, and I would save that one. And then I might say, you know what, I'm going to trash that layer. I don't like that. Let's put something else on. Let's go and do a, let's do something dumb like a photo filter, just because I haven't done it before. And you can change the parameters here. You can change the filter that you're using. So you can use a warming filter, cooling filter, and all these different colors. Yes, yes, yes. And you can also adjust how it's being applied. So we'll go with the top filter, the warming filter. By the way, if you were using these filters on your camera and had to screw them onto your lens, then you would see on the sides of the filters that they actually use here, the names here, the 85, the 82 is a cooling filter, the 85A, 85B, these are like more intense warming filters. But anyway, these are kind of throwbacks to the photography business. So let's change the density. We're seeing how this is being applied to Matt's face only, and the density is changing. We can change the color of this filter. We can make it more yellow. We can make it more blue. Cool them down a little bit. I don't think that looks great. Make them look a little sick. You know, you're going to learn what skin tones make people feel like the person is either happy or excited or sick. That looks bad. Yeah, but we can change the density of it, and that's fine. We can also change exactly what we're applying and keep going through this list. But when we're satisfied, and I'm not, but that's all right. Let's see what happens when we preserve luminosity. This is a fun effect. Yeah, I think that looks better. All right, we'll leave them with a little bit of a magenta tone here, just for fun. And what I'll do is I'll say File, Save As, and then after I'm done with this completely, maybe what you'll do is after you save it as Photoshop a couple times, you might flatten it down again just to get a new version. And what I sometimes like to do is just make a couple of versions of these images and see how they do affect one another when you go through this list, because you do get inspired by certain things that get called out. So if I go lighter color and I change the opacity of this, it doesn't really do anything. Okay, cool. So if I go, let's go multiply. Let's go multiply and do that just a little bit. All right, and let's take this one. Let's make this one something else and see how this reacts with the multiply layer on top of it. And sometimes what I can do is I can get a strange effect like this exclusion underneath the multiply, and then I can dial back that effect until it's something that's either the opposite of creepy or even more creepy. I think he looks tremendous this way. I think that looks creepy, and I'm gonna keep it. Let's tweak this opacity of this layer above it and see what happens. So I really like the darker tone of this. Okay, cool. So this is definitely not normal, and it's way beyond what I was thinking I might do. But it sure is fun. And for kicks, I kind of just want to feel out what happens when I throw a curves layer on top of this, because I feel like it might be fun to try to even out the craziness here. I just want to play a game. I just want to play a game with the curves layer and see if I can make it even more distinct what's happening or less distinct. I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I see that there's a tremendous color posterization effect happening here, and so that's good. Now I could definitely use some brightness, but I've already made this curves adjustment. I can make another one. It's okay. It's okay. I can bring up the highlights. I'm sorry, the midtones, and you know, save the highlights. Let's crunch the blacks. Crunch the blacks. Let's get them crunchy. All right, we're crunching the blacks. This is the terminology that you use when you're crunching the black. You gotta crunch those blacks. Get them crunchy. All right. So now, do we blow out the highlights? We kind of did, but we can go back to the other curves layer and we can make subtle adjustments to this that might make us even happier in the long run. Let's see if we can tweak this one even more. All right, cool. So now he looks like he has green teeth, and I'm not sure if that's the best, but I also have these other parameters to play with. So just like when we were generating the image for the previous assignment, you know, it's kind of like a toy that you can play with and just see what you can get. So that's here. I'm fully satisfied. I'm going to go ahead and save this as something so I can always get back to the version. So I'm going to press Save As. But I'll just flatten this. I love it so much. Select all, copy, go back to the original, paste it on top so we can see the before and after, and boy, I think I've done a tremendous thing here. Oh man! But hey, it's always fun to play around and then once again apply an image on top of itself and see what kind of effect you can get, because maybe this is something that you couldn't arrive at any other way. The way that sandwich is posterized is pretty special. So feel free to play again over and over again until you find a method that you really are satisfied with in terms of your image creation that satisfies your need to either make it something that feels very normal or make something that feels out of this world. So happy playing, and I look forward to the versions you make of your portraits, and I encourage you to do the best that you can in shooting so that as much comes through in your Photoshop file once you're done with it as possible, because that detail comes from the camera and then we're just tweaking it here. So happy shooting, happy adjusting, and we'll see you on the other side. That looks like crap. Fine. Here's another image that you can really dig into. Using the frequency separation technique, I've just separated out the group above, so you see the after and then the before. So it really does a good job of maintaining that skin texture, so you really see the texture of the skin. You don't want to smear that over, but it does make it much more refined and wonderful. And it does a good job of evening a lot of those tones out. So good job. Bye-bye.